new view today. All right, let me get situated here. We're going to be talking about peer review. Excited. Peer review is like my favorite thing. Love peer reviews. So many reasons why I love peer review. So in the background, you see my kitchen. My kitchen. You got a rug. Got a little fence going on. So cute. Love my cabin. Ceiling. Look at that, y'all. So, all right, that has nothing to do with peer review. I'm just bragging. All right, let's jump in. We're going to talk about peer review. So I'm going to get this PowerPoint up. Is it this one? It looks like it's this one. At the beginning of it. Here we go. I was previewing it a little bit before we got started. All right, so peer review, making it work. What do we need to talk about regarding peer review before we get there? So peer review is still a couple weeks off, but I think it's important for us to talk about it now. And then I want you to save and hold on to this video so that you can refer back to this. And this can be a resource for you when it comes time to actually do, especially the first round of peer review. But, as a refresher now and then as well. So let's talk about making it work. Peer review is absolutely essential to your success in this class and beyond. You're going to need peer review in every aspect of your life. We need critique. We are not in and of ourselves ever going to be perfect. We can always improve and we can always get better. I mean, I have a master's degree, but I can still improve, right? You may be proficient in an area, but you can still improve. And so with our writing and our communication skills, we can still improve. And the best way to do that is not from your own mind. It's from the perspective of others. We need to have trusted individuals look at our work, communicate with us about some things that can be improved about the work so that we move on towards the success that we want. So, why does peer review work? Well, here we are. I've listed out some things for you that I think are highly important. Number one, you see your writing through someone else's eyes. This is a first opportunity for you to have a reader before the grader. It's a great idea to have somebody else look at your work before me. It's a great idea. Number two, it's easier to see mistakes in someone else's work. It is far easier to see the mistakes that someone else's makes before you can see your own. That's just human nature. We don't want to even admit that we make mistakes, right? So it's easier to see them in someone else's work. That's why there's even the scripture that talks about, take the speck out of your don't worry about the speck in your neighbor's eye when you've got a plank sticking out of your own. And that's kind of the way that it goes. We don't see what we've got going on in our own eye. We just see what's in yours. And so it's the same when it comes to our work. And because of that, we should take advantage of that and have trusted people review our work so that those mistakes get pointed out in those areas that need clarity or those areas that need some adjustment can get worked out before the grader, before the person that's going to give you the yay or the nay or the shut door or the open door, right? You want to have someone else review it. So, but on the converse of that, once you are more easily able to recognize mistakes because you've gotten accustomed to looking for them in other people's work, the more that you do that, the easier it does get to see some of your own mistakes. We get more comfortable with this editing process and critiquing process. And as a result of that, we become more comfortable with critiquing our own work. So peer review also will teach you that critique is good every semester without fail. When I have classes that actually participate. Now, sometimes I have an online class and half the class doesn't participate. That class is going to fail in peer review. And a lot of times that means that essay grades struggle. But if everyone participates, then chances are very strong that most everyone's going to come out of that class with an A. Because the better we get at it, and the more we realize that we need each other to help each other reach the grade, the more excited we get about it. And I've seen this happen time after time after time over the years with classes. I've been doing peer review with classes for when I started teaching in 2010. So 14 years. 14 years have been teaching peer review. So I know that it's essential. I know it's essential because I went through peer review when I was working on my master's degree. And I remember the very first time it ever happened, it was terrible. It was awful. I wasn't prepared. No one had told me about the process. No one had talked to me about it. No one had taught me how to participate in it. And so I remember sitting there while the entire class was reviewing what I wrote and they were talking about what I wrote in front of me. I was furious because I thought what I had written was good. And they were critiquing it left and right and coming up with suggestions and pointing out things they didn't understand. And I was so angry and left there thinking, I'm quitting and never doing this again. But you know what I realized? My anger was really based in fear, as anger often is. Not always, but can be. But I really was feeling inadequate and I was afraid of failure. And so it disguised itself in anger. I did not quit. And I'm very grateful that I did not quit because as time progressed and I participated in peer review more and more, it became my favorite part of the courses. Our writing program was heavily based in peer review in what we called a workshopping environment. And it was, wow, the professor really didn't, none of the professors really had much interaction with us at all. It was very student driven and student led because most of what we did was the peer reviews. And so we were driving each other to be the very best writers that we could possibly be. And I learned so much during that time period, during those 2 years. What I walked away from that I think was the most beneficial was the ability to develop some thicker skin, right? I stopped taking things so personally in my personal life as well. Like I was able to bounce things off from friends because I started to realize, wait, this friend wants what's best for me. They're not trying to hurt me, right? So I developed thicker skin, not just in the classroom, but in my life in general. It was fantastic, absolutely fantastic practice to begin to implement and begin to have as a part of my regular routine. And once I graduated, oh my gosh, I missed it. I missed it so much. I was still writing because I'm a writer. I want to write. And I sit down, I write in my blog, I write in my books, I've written short stories. Like I like to write. It's relaxing, it's cathartic, it's exciting. It's what I do. It's what I like. But I missed that peer review. I didn't have that anymore. And so I got myself involved in a writing group in St. Louis. We met in a cute little bookshop called All on the Same Page. And we would meet in there and we would read each other's work and we would offer insights and critiques. And we would talk about our writing. And it was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Got right back into the groove of that. Now that I'm in Tulsa, I haven't been doing that quite as much, but I am a member of the Tulsa Night Writers writing group. I just need to be carving out the time to get there more often. And another thing, this year, actually, of course, I'm saying this year, and this video might be watched for, who knows how many semesters, so maybe I shouldn't say it, but I am on the editorial staff for the Tulsa Review, and there will be years like this one coming up where I will be the managing editor. And as the managing editor, that's basically what I'm going to be doing, is participating in peer review, only review of other people's work, more so than they'll be reviewing mine. But it's also vital. It's vital. But so it teaches us that critique is good, that we all need it. Everyone needs it. Anyone who writes a thing needs some critique, needs some peer review. It helps you to develop that thick skin because you discover the value of critique, and it establishes the power of teamwork, because it takes every group member pulling their weight in the peer review process. When you're in your group of 4 or 5 people, it takes every single one of you participating in order for your group to be successful. And what it's an in-person class, this is so much easier to monitor, because I will put the students into 4 or 5 groups in the classroom, and I'm monitoring the groups. I'm there, I'm hovering, I'm ensuring that the process goes well. They tend to take that over and bloom and blossom on their own. With an online class, this is more difficult, but it does take every one of you participating, uploading your rough draft, reviewing the rough drafts that your group mates post, and actually giving some solid critique, and then giving those critiques back inside your peer review group as well. It takes everyone doing that, because but unfortunately what I see happen in an online class is that the groups will have 5 people in them, 4 groups of 5 or 5 groups of 4. Probably we'll do 4 groups of 5. But this group, all 5 people participate, which is awesome, which means every group member gets 4 critiques. Oh, so great. But then over here, we've got this group of 5 and only 2 people participate. So each one of those people only gets 1 review because 3 people decided not to participate. Is that fair? When this group over here, everyone that's in that group gets 4 critiques that they can use to help edit their work. And over here, this group, because I don't know why those 3 people didn't participate, but they don't. And therefore the other 2 suffer. And it's just not fair. This is teamwork. This is all of us working together. And if you're struggling because you're feeling shy, or you're feeling like, oh, my work is bad, you need to hear me say this. Everyone feels that way. You are not special in that. You are not unique. Everyone feels that way initially. I felt that way the first time it happened to me. So get past the hurdle, upload your paper, get it in there. If you only have half of it done, upload that half, participate, be involved, and read the work of others. Because when you read the work of others, you're going to begin to go, oh, wow, that's actually a good idea. I like what that person did there. Or you might read someone else's work and go, oh, wow, my paper is not as bad as I thought it was. It's the truth, right? We can learn so many cool things when we're reading other people's work. And what's another cool thing is you both might be writing about the same short story. Like 2 or 3 of you might have chosen to write about Kate Chopin's The Story of an Hour, but they had completely different thoughts than you. Like they completely focused on different literary elements or different impact or different, and you go, oh, wow, I didn't think about that. Maybe you've got something you can adjust in your paper then, or tweak in your paper because you read someone else's work. It's mind-blowing, eye-opening when you participate. Okay, very important that everyone in each group participates. This is teamwork. We're all on the same team. You, me, we're all on the same team. I am your professor, therefore I am your coach, right? And so I'm going to coach the team. I'm going to give you the plays. I'm going to tell you how to run the plays, but then you guys have to run those plays. All right. So it's honestly, it's kind of like football. And I don't remember if I have that slide in here or not, but if not, I see it that way. I see it as I'm the coach, you're the players. Let's look at critique as the football, and let's toss that football around, and let's make some really good plays so that everybody gets a touchdown, right? It's awesome stuff. So I don't know, maybe you're a sports person, maybe that will land for you and you're like, wow, that makes sense. If not, you're going to be looking at me like, wow, that lady's crazy. And I'm okay with that. I'm fine with you thinking I'm a little crazy. So, okay, here we have my absolute favorite video of the semester. Not even kidding when I say that. This is hands down my favorite video of the entire semester. So I'm going to play this for you. This is top 10 mistakes to avoid in peer review. Here we go.
Peer review can be a very valuable exercise for students of all grades. However, some people don't know how to do a quality peer review. Let's take a look at some of these peer review bozos. First, let's listen in as Picky Patty peer reviews her partner's paragraph. You have 2 ands in your paper. That's too many ands. You call that a period? There's a little line at the bottom. It looks like a comma. Ooh, 1/2 centimeter of your title is not underlined. Oh my gosh, you put such a big space between that word and that comma. If you don't care about the process, it ruins everything.
You spelled cat wrong. It's C-A-T, not K-A-T.
Yeah, sure.
I would rate your topic sentence a 3.
Yeah, whatever.
I would grade your paper D+.
Cool.
Then there's a person who just wants to interact with all the kids and groups nearby.
Hey, Bobby. How do you spell the word word?
I don't know.
Do you agree with me that... Bran.
What?
My partner wrote the title wrong.
How did I?
You spelled intellectualizes.
Some peer reviewers give suggestions that do no good because they aren't specific enough. You spelled some words wrong, plus I think you're missing a few capitals.
Where are they?
On the paper.
Where on the paper?
Kind of everywhere.
Everywhere.
All over the paper. Some peer reviewers don't know how to give their suggestions in a kind way.
Your class number looks stupid.
That's the way I wrote the number.
Are you dumb? You're supposed to put a space between A and lot.
Gosh, I didn't know.
You spelled dinosaur so wrong, you shouldn't even try.
Fine, I'll go get a dictionary.
Some people don't have a clue when it comes to volume.
I love your topic sentence. Wow, you used the word plethora, which is such a rich use of vocabulary. I think you spelled Pachypalosaurus wrong.
Have you ever worked with someone who insists on you taking her advice?
Fox is spelled F-O-A-X, not F-O-X.
Why don't we go get a dictionary?
Just change it. Do you, not trust me?
I think it's spelled F-O-X.
Just change it.
Well, it is my paper.
Listen, that's the way my mom spells it, so if you don't change it, you're going to be insulting me and my mom.
And I'm sure we've all done a peer review that got a little off topic.
I just did 5 push-ups. Yeah!
I don't really understand that sentence right there.
I can't wait till my birthday. Wait, it's in December. That means I get to go to Chuck E. Cheese's.
Are you going to help me with the sentence?
Did you hear that?
I like that word you used.
I like frozen yogurt.
Have you ever worked with someone who thinks peer review is a race to the finish?
You wrote in your margin.
Well, how can I fix
You wrote
it?
a summary, not a response to literature.
What am I lacking on?
Well, nothing. Well, your topic sentence needs a little changing.
What would you rate it?
I don't know. Number 4. How would you...
And lastly, a good way to ruin a quality peer review is to take the feedback personally.
Hey, Dave, you forgot to underline your book title.
Well, why do you always bug me about it? It's just a little title.
I'm just saying.
It's my paper. I can do whatever I want.
Jeez.
What grade do you think I deserve?
I'm thinking maybe a C+.
Yours isn't that great either.
Wow, we're not talking about my paper.
Why are you always picking on me?
All right. That's fantastic. I absolutely love that video. So here are the things that they just discussed in that video, the things that we need to avoid doing. Please don't be picky, Patty. It is not your job to sit and mark every punctuation mistake, every grammatical error, every misspelling. You might want to point a few out, but this is not exactly what we're here for. You might want to make the suggestion, run this paper through Grammarly, because Mrs. Cunningham is going to catch all of these. But don't be picky, Patty. Don't sit and spend an hour and a half on someone else's rough draft, just marking all of the little bitty tiny mistakes that you find. Just kind of do an overall look at it. If you do see comma errors, punctuation mistakes, things of that nature, make some notes, right? But don't sit and try to nitpick every single little bitty thing. That's not what you're there for. If it's not clear, let them know what's not clear. If you have some suggestions, make those suggestions. If you really like something that they wrote, tell them, right? And then please don't be whatever William. The whatever Williams are the ones that kind of come in and kind of ruin this whole teamwork thing, because the whatever Williams like, I don't care. Right? Please, let's avoid that. Let's care about the process. Social Sammy, we're not going to run into this so much since we are working in an online format. My in-person classes, I have to monitor the Social Sammys at the beginning. We tend to work that out, but they're wanting to talk to everybody in every group. They're not wanting to stay on topic, which is that off-task Oliver. So we have to kind of work on that in the in-person groupings. But with our online format, that's not going to be so much an issue. Jean the generalizer, please be specific. Please be specific. Don't just tell them that there are mistakes on their paper. And when they say, well, where? You say all over the paper. Be more specific than that without being picky Patty, right? And so now you're like, but I'm confused. Don't spend an hour and a half on the paper. Maybe give it 20, 30 minutes, okay? Don't be mean, Margaret. We're not here to be mean to each other. We are not here to say things like, are you stupid? Are you dumb? Which is what was in that video that cracked me up. But we're not here to be mean, Margaret. Now, I did witness that happening one time. I was it was our memoir class, working on my master's degree. It was our memoir class. And there were quite a few of us in the room. There were 14 students in each class. So we were full. It was 14 students and the professor. So we're 15 people in the room. And how we would do workshopping was everyone would focus on one paper at a time. And we would do it for an hour per paper. And so for an hour, the writer of that paper would sit quietly, would not speak, but would sit quietly and take notes. While 14 people, sometimes the professor participated, sometimes not. So sometimes 13 people, but sometimes 14 people sat and discussed your work in front of you for an hour. Telling you, the first time it was terrifying, but after that, I loved it. I loved it. It was great. I got so much good information about how to improve my writing from those people in those classes. I look back on those experiences with the deepest of fondness. But so the story though, but we're in this one class, it's in a memoir class, and it is my friend Nancy's turn. And so Nancy has passed out her piece and we are all critiquing it. Nancy is sitting quietly on the corner of the tables in her spot. I always sat in the bottom of the U. We would sit in a U shape so everybody could see each other. I always sat in the bottom of the U and she was over on like the far right kind of curve of the U where the side would go up. Next to me is sitting a gentleman by the name of Terry, who was an administrator in the school. When I had worked on some undergraduate classes, he had been my faculty administrator or my faculty liaison. And so I had gotten to know him. So I was sitting next to him in the class. So he's sitting there, he's an admin at the school. We also had the head of security was taking our program, and the head of security was in the classroom. We also had, we've had quite a few other people in there. It was a full class. But so these two people, I think this is an important component of the story, were in the classroom, as well as the professor is the head of the creative writing department. So we got some big people in this classroom. And so we're all critiquing Nancy's paper. And Nancy had written about a very personal issue, very personal issue. And wow. So we're kind of popcorn sharing thoughts about her paper. And down the road from her, we're going to call this person Lucy. We're not going to use this person's real name. Lucy up and says, when it's her turn to talk, she says, "This writer's a bitch. I've never read anything so selfish." And she proceeds to just launch into a tirade of meanness aimed at Nancy. I'm sitting there horrified, absolutely horrified. I'm looking at Terry, who's next to me. He's not saying anything. I'm looking over at Betty, the head of security. She's not doing anything. I'm looking at the professor. You going to do anything? You going to step in? You going to stop this madness? She did nothing. So I'm looking around the room. And at this point in my life, I still hadn't discovered this whole extrovert part of myself. But I was done with that mess. And so I stepped up and I got the conversation moved back around. I said, let's get back on topic and talk about the work itself. But in the meantime, Nancy was over here wiping tears out of her eyes. After class, I went up to her to try to apologize for everyone. And she didn't really want to talk a whole lot. And for the rest of that course, she kind of refrained. And she did go on to finish and graduate. And there's a happy ending to this story. Nancy went on to own her own publishing company. She is the CEO, owner and founder of Stonebrook Publishing in St. Louis, Missouri. It is a company that publishes nonfiction work, and she sells internationally. She's brilliant and beautiful and doing quite well for herself. Lucy, secretary. Karma. But I got to interview Nancy last year for my novel writing class. I reached out to her and asked her if I could interview her. And she said, "Oh yeah, sure." And so it was interesting because before the recording started, and we didn't talk about it on the recording, but before the recording started, we had talked about that day. And yeah, it was nice to reconnect and to talk about that. But here's the thing. I tell that story just to say, we're not here to be mean Margaret. We're not here to be cruel to each other. We are here to encourage each other. We are here to help each other. We are here to point out mistakes that the author did not see so that they get an A. You could be the difference between a person getting a C and getting an A. If you are willing to say, "Ooh, fix your spacings." If you're willing to say that and the other person goes, "Oh my gosh, you're right," fixes those spacings and turns their paper into me, I won't know the difference, but I'm going to be like, "Heck yeah, you got your spacings right." Right? A's all around. But if you don't say anything to that person and you just let it slide by and you're like, "Yeah, okay, here's your hat, what's your hurry?" And then I get their paper and I see the spacings are off and I go ahead and I'm just marking points off left and right, right? You could be the difference between an F and an A, C and an A B and an A. You could be the one who makes that difference for someone else. So please don't be mean, Margaret. Loud Larry, that applies to in the class, but also in your discussion threads, don't be the only one who, or don't be the loudest. Don't necessarily be the one who does all the talking, right? Encourage other people to talk in the discussion thread. Don't be pushy, Paula. You can't push your ideas on other people. You can make suggestions, but whether they take them or not, that's not up to you. So don't be pushy, Paula. And Speedy Sandy, we're not going to rush through this. Don't rush through it, right? Just give other people the attention that you want them to give to your paper. That's what you want to do with this. And then don't be defensive, Dave. Don't take any of this personally. This isn't about you. This is about the work. This is about making the work better. It has nothing to do with you. All right, let it go. It's not about you. It's about the work. How do we make the work better? So I love peer review. So here's how we're going to do this. In groups of 3 or 4, might be 5, because we're an online class. You will read and review one group member's paper. No, see, this is for the in-person classes here. Let's go. I'm going to go ahead and read it though. Then for another, or so that'll be for 10 or 15 minutes. And then for another 10 or 15 minutes, you will discuss that paper. And I want authors to just try to listen for the in-person environment. Then the next round starts and we move on to the next group's paper, etc., or the group member's paper. And over the next 2 days, you will make edits to your paper. Day 2, back in peer review groups to go over the edits made after day 1's peer review session. And then after peer review, complete the peer review group worksheet. Now, how does this function for us as an online course? Well, in your groups, you're going to upload your rough drafts and you're going to then open up each other's rough drafts, make marks, make corrections, and then put those rough drafts back in to your peer review group. I will always give you a discussion format in there that you can use as well. And so you can communicate with one another inside your peer review group through the discussion thread format. All right. And then after your peer review is over, you will have a peer review group worksheet. So y'all need to know that's coming. This is important because it gives me an idea, truly, especially in the online environment, of how peer review is going. And so what that worksheet looks like is important. So here we go. Let's take a look at it. This says to complete as you read and critique each group member's rough draft. So this is the first page of the worksheet. You may use yes or no or a check mark on items that are yes. Ensure that you are also making critiques on each classmate's rough draft, which will go back to each student. This form will be given to Professor Cunningham, not students. So no student is going to see what you put on this form. So up here, you can see you'll be putting the group members' names, and then you're going to answer these questions per paper. So is the essay on topic? Does it follow the rules of the assignment? It's either yes or no. MLA format, is the header correct? MLA format, are the page numbers correct? MLA format, are the document spacings correct? Is the word count met? Can you locate the thesis statement? Is it debatable? Can you locate the restated thesis? Is it debatable? MLA format, is the works cited page correct? Or hanging indents, does it have hanging indents? Are spacings right? Are there tense agreement issues in the paper? Is there a drop the mic conclusion? Is there variety in paragraph length? Is there a minimum of 1 quote per page? Do quotes and paraphrases have signal phrases and setups? Are in-text quotes or paraphrases cited properly according to MLA? Are short story titles and article titles in italics or quotation marks? Are there punctuation or capitalization issues? Are there indentation issues? Are there unfamiliar terms? Are there any incomplete or confusing sentences? So you're going to work your way through those questions, marking yes or no or check marks for each of those items. All right. Let's see. These are important. Make sure that you are checking these. Please make sure you're checking these. These are the first things that I look at when I'm grading. So this is just repetition of what we just went through. So make sure that you are checking these items off on each paper that you review. You want other people checking these on yours. Trust me. All right. Some people think I might be a little bit of a difficult grader, but I've been called a nitpicky grader. Being that I give people the opportunity to rewrite according to my corrections, I don't look at it as being a nitpicky grader. I look at it as being someone who's concerned about you and wanting you to be able to do your very best. And so I see it all as a learning process. So you can choose to look at it as nitpicky. I don't look at it as nitpicky. I look at it as we're paying attention to detail because we want our arguments to be as strong as they possibly can be, and format can lose your argument. So the format being off can be the thing that drops your argument. So here we are. So not bad, huh? Don't you want someone checking your paper for these mistakes? Their eyes will see things that yours don't see. And that's just the fact. It is easier for someone else to see your mistakes than it is for you to see your own mistakes. And then you will sign the form that you completed it honestly. The next section of the form, post peer review assessment. This is the rubric that you have. And so you're going to be taking a look at the contributions and the attitude, cooperation with others. You're going to be assessing each person in your peer review group, giving them a 4 if they are advanced or exceed expectations, a 3 if they're competent and meet expectations, a 2 if they're progressing and does not fully meet expectations, and a 1 if they're beginning and does not meet expectations. So you can further read into the rubric. It will be on the worksheet for you so that you can fully understand better what it is that you're doing with this. We also be looking at focus and commitment, ability to communicate, and correctness. Again, using those numbers, the 4, 3, 2, 1, to kind of grade your group mates, right? And this is what that will look like. So after the peer review sessions are finished, take some time to fill out the following assessment of the peer review process. Write the name of each of your group members on a separate column. Use the peer review rubric on the previous page to assess the effectiveness of your peer review session. Once this is completed, answer the questions that follow. And so you're going to, 4, 3, 4, 4. And then that person you added up. And then over here, same thing. And it might be that somebody didn't participate and you give them 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, or 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. I do look at these. I will read through these because I need to know what's going on with peer review. And if there's someone who's getting all low marks from their group members, that's someone that I can reach out to and communicate with regarding peer review. But I need to know this. And then you have these questions. How effectively did your group work? Were the behaviors of your team members particularly valuable or detrimental to the team? What did you learn working about working in a group from this project that you will carry into your next group experience? And what is one aha moment that you experienced in the peer review session? And then again, you will put your signature stating that you've answered these questions honestly. So that's the peer review form that you're going to fill out after peer review is over. And I will read these thoroughly. Don't just fill it in willy-nilly. Last semester, I had a class that really was not participating well in peer review. There were about 4 or 5 people who were participating in peer review. And once I figured out who those 4 or 5 people were, I put them in a group by themselves and let everybody else just kind of fall off, right? That's their choice. So, but what was interesting in some of those willy-nilly groups was one person would turn in that peer review group worksheet and put all 4s on everyone. And then somebody else would turn it in and say, these people didn't even turn in papers. And then somebody else's would give everybody 1s, And so I'm like, wow, we got some liars going on in this group. They're just trying to get some points. So I was able to tell that something was very off and needed to be addressed, needless to say. But then in the group that was really working well together, those people, they went over the moon with what they did for each other and how successful they each one were in the course. So it was really exciting. It was exciting for them. So one more thing, in the in-person class, we will be doing some practicing. With the online course, we're not going to be able to do some practicing. So this is a paper that I'm going to pass out in class for everybody to peer review. Everybody's going to practice talking about it in front of me. It's a piece that I wrote and I boogered it up. So just even on this first page right here, there are some items that I would hope that you would notice and point out in peer review, such as that margin's incorrect. So that's something you want to make a note about. What's another thing here? The page numbers are missing. So I would hope that you would point that out on someone else's work. There should be no blank row after the title. Again, this is something, please point this out on someone else's paper. There should be no blank row between the title and the text. We need to capitalize words in the title. So promenade should be capitalized. There are some words that are not capitalized in titles, but they are all tend to be 3 letters or less. But then if they're the first word in the title and they're 3 letters or less, you do capitalize them. And if they're the last word in the title and they're 3 letters or less, you do capitalize them. So there are rules for capitalization. My feeling is just capitalize all of them in a title. Just capitalize them all, right? Go for it. Grammarly should maybe help you with that. Indent all paragraphs. So you see here, none of these paragraphs are indented. I hope that's something that you would point out on a classmate's paper. This is a pet peeve of mine right here. What just popped up, that circle. That comma goes inside the quote mark. So every time you see that in someone else's paper, I hope you're marking it. Please do that. That's one of those nitpicky things. Now right here, let's read this sentence. A student of facial expressions and body language, I knew it was not the lit sign that she held in her vision, but a visual construct of the past. We have a comma splice situation going on here, a run-on sentence, however you want to word that. It's a run-on sentence. It needs punctuation right there where that circle is. We have 2 independent clauses trying to be one sentence. They can't be without the proper punctuation. So we either want to put a semicolon or a period or a comma and. Something has to fix that. So please point those out for other people. Here's another one. Her still dark eyebrows pulled together, and I saw fear registered in them. We have a run-on sentence. You need a comma here. It's got to be comma and. So I would hope that you would catch these in people's work and point them out. Yeah, she does not have 2 E's. What else? Oh, construct of the past. We need 1 period, not 3. And then what is this one? All right. Oh, those are the things that I just pointed out in the circles that we need to correct. So that's what the first circle, that's what it should look like, the comma inside the quotation mark, body language, comma, I knew, the past, period, together, comma, and I, and then she. So that's what we're going to be doing with peer review. There you have it, and there you are. It is time to peer review. Dun, dun, dun. That's the end of that PowerPoint. So if you have any questions, please reach out. I'm not trying to hide from you. So it's 918-994-2324. And then also we have the water cooler. Do communicate with your peer review group mates and do participate, because this is a win for everyone. It's a win for me too, because grading is easy if everyone's participating in peer review well. So if you're using the peer review checklist and you're using the editing checklist and you're using the group rubric to help one another, then when I get the papers, the final copies, everything should be good, right? Everything should be spot on, and we all win. That's my goal, is everyone wins. So that's what I've got for you for peer review, and I'm going to let you go. So I'll talk at you later.